coordinator with the College of Medicine. It's great to have you all joining us here tonight. I know it's the evening and middle of the summer, so thanks for taking time out of your break. Hopefully you've had a good summer break so far. Thanks for joining us to hear a little bit about the admissions process to med school. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the changes that have come in. And then I have two of our students here tonight, Kyle and Al, who will be sharing a little bit about their background, how they got into medicine, and hopefully have some words of wisdom for you. Oh, there we go. So our agenda for today is, like I mentioned, we're going to cover some of the admissions updates that are coming for the upcoming application cycle and moving forward. So this covers the upcoming 2024-2025 application cycle. Then we'll share a bit of a timeline as far as when certain things should be completed by. Then I'll pass it over to Kyle and Al to share a little bit about their background. Then we'll get into some of our fee waiver programs and applicant assistant programs that we have. And then we'll open it up to any questions that you guys might have. So the major updates that we have this year are the following categories here. There's 4 key areas that are kind of being renewed this year, or updated and changed. So something you may be aware of, we've promoted it a fair bit over the last few years, is our Indigenous Studies prerequisite. This is something that has been kind of a long ways coming, and this year is the first year of its implementation. So we'll talk a little bit about what you'll have to have in place for that, how to do it, and then hopefully answer any questions you might have. Next, we'll talk a little bit about a change going on with the UAA calculation, similarly with the graduate degrees and how those are being looked at, and then with the online course considerations. Just a reminder that all this information, everything we talk about tonight, anything else about the admissions process can all be found in our applicant information document. The new copy of it just got posted. Typically, it's July 1st every single year. So visit our website. You can use the QR code on screen to do so, and that'll help you kind of get a good basis for what you need to know for applying to our med school. So to start off, talking about the Indigenous Studies prerequisite, like I said, this is brand new for this cycle. You must have at least one Indigenous Studies course completed by the end of this academic year, so April 30th, 2025. The course that you complete will have to be in alignment with our list of approved courses that are on the website. Those can be found on the FAQ section in the Indigenous Studies dropdown. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you right there to the website. And you open up the PDF, it has a full list of all the courses that we are currently accepting. If you have a course that you've taken or are thinking about taking that isn't on that list, we encourage you to get in touch with us. Email med.admissions@usask.ca. Give us a clear outline of what the course is. So the institution, course number, course description, start date. If you have a syllabus, a link to the syllabus. And then my colleagues will review and let you know whether it will be approved or accepted for this year. At the time of your application, you'll be expected to kind of have a plan in place for how you're going to complete this prerequisite. And during your application, you'll have to fill out the information associated with the course you've taken or will be taking. So again, that's your institution that you're taking it from, the course number, course name, start date, and completion date. This will all be built into the application when you're applying. For applicants that have maybe completed their undergrad already, or maybe they're doing a graduate program right now, there are a few other alternatives. We recognize that not everyone will have had the chance to complete an Indigenous Studies course yet. So there's 2 courses that we will accept: the Indigenous Canada course offered by the U of A, and the Building and Awareness of Cultural Humility offered by the U of S. So those are a couple opportunities you can look at, but please note that they have limited start dates and they do fill up fairly quick. So just try and keep that in mind, and it's better to complete it sooner than later. You should receive a formal certificate at the end of it, and you'll have to keep that so you can provide it to us to show that you've completed that course. Moving on to the UAA calculation, something that we've offered over the past few years that we will not be offering anymore is a removal of the lowest 10% of course grades. This was something that we included as a transition as we transitioned from a 75% average up to an 80. So we're no longer going to be doing this, as we've kind of had that leeway in place for the last few years. And then if you have any other questions about how UAA is calculated, we have it all broke down in our application document. Something that will assist though with how your UAA is looked at is graduate degrees. So applicants that have completed or are currently in the process of completing a graduate degree will have a partial augmentation done to their grades. So I'll show you kind of a breakdown of what that looks like. Here's the augmentations. So if you completed at least 6 credit units of a graduate program, you'll receive a 2% augmentation to your undergraduate average. If you've completed a full master's, you'll get 3%. And if you've completed a PhD, you'll get 4%. Finally, another change that we have is with how we're looking at online courses. So just keep in mind that we'll only allow up to a maximum of 60 credit units of online courses for your UAA calculation. So this means you can't be completing your entire degree online. You need to be enrolled at some sort of formal institution and be completing at least some in-person courses. If you're taking a graduate degree, we will consider it if it's done online, but only if you have an undergraduate that meets the UAA and meets the other requirements laid out. Now onto our application timeline. So our application will open up in early August. We typically aim for the 1st of August, but there can sometimes be technology delays or the way Labor Day and the weekend falls can often kind of throw a wrench in it. So we're aiming for early August. So look out for that in about the 1st week of August. You will see it on our website. We'll have updated the top header to say that the application is now open. So just keep an eye out for that. The last MCAT test date that we'll allow is August 30th. This is basically so that your test scores can be released to us by the October 1st deadline. So keep that in mind as well. Make sure you have your MCAT written before that date and make sure that you're choosing the U of S College of Medicine as one of the institutions to release your scores to. Similarly, September 12th is the last writing date that we'll have for Casper. Again, just to make sure that your scores are released to us on time. And then the application window will be October 1st at the end of day. So that means you'll have to have your application filled out and completed, your application fee paid, and all of those test scores released to us. Once you've completed your application, there are some supplemental items, your written personal statement. For Indigenous applicants, there's also your Indigenous verification piece that you'll have to do. So there's a few other supplemental items that you may have, and you'll have until October 15th to do those. And then once we've received all that, our team does a file review and over the October and November. And then typically by the end of November to early December, we do our invitations to the MMI. The MMI is set to take place on January 25th and 26th, 2025. And then once that's completed, we do another review, and then we'll do our invitations for the panel interview and conversation circles, which are taking place on March 22nd. During December, around the time of the MMI invitation, you'll also receive a request for references. So you'll be expected to submit your references at that time. And then we'll be doing reference checks through March and April. Once we've received all of the reference checks back, we'll do a final review of all our applicant files, and then we'll do our first round of offers in May. If you have specific application questions, hopefully we can answer them tonight. If not, they can be directed towards med.admissions, where my colleagues who work directly in the files will be able to respond to you and give you an exact answer to your specific question. We ask that you please respect the timelines that we have listed in our automatic replies. It typically takes about a week, but it just kind of varies depending on the frequency of emails that we're receiving. Particularly during the application deadline or application window, we receive a lot of inquiries and questions, so it can take a little bit longer to reply. And please keep in mind, we receive a lot of questions regarding the Saskatchewan connectedness and residency piece. This is something that isn't publicly disclosed and something that we're doing our best to basically protect for the fairness of all applicants. So we ask that you please kind of refrain from asking about that if possible. Everything that you need to know should be laid out in the applicant document. With all that being said, that's a lot of talking from me. I'm going to pass it over now to our students. First of all, we have Al. He's one of our, going into year 3. at our Regina campus. And with that being said, Al, I'm going to let you take the wheel.
Sounds good. Hey everyone, I'm Al. Like Dave said, I'm a third-year medical student at the Regina site. I was one of the first years that did their whole training at the Regina site. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the Regina site in and of itself. Just a little bit of how I got in. I want to say, like, if you have a background that's not like the highest grades, I would say that's really, really, really unfortunate, but there is a way around that. My undergraduate average for my first degree was, I think, somewhere like a 2.3 out of 4. So, like, really, really bad for applying to medical school. I did a second undergrad, uh, brought my grades up like dramatically, and now I'm a med student. So, I want you to know that there is a way you're able to path a way forward. It's getting harder and harder every year, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. Any advice I have, um, just keep working at it and do the things that you are going to enjoy doing. Don't just do things because they buff up your resume. Um, like, if you enjoy doing it, it'll buff up your resume anyways, and it'll look way better, and you'll have much better experiences to talk about. So yeah, I think overall, I think the hard part is getting in, and then once you're in, things are still hard, but they're a different kind of hard. So don't give up and just keep working at it.
Yeah, so hi guys. My name's Kyle. I'm a year two medical student here at the Saskatoon site. I grew up in Saskatoon. I did all my schooling here. I did my post-secondary education here. I did physiology and pharmacology, which I think they changed to CPPS now for you guys. Um, my like kind of story going into it is probably like very conventional. Like I just um took the very classic pre-med undergrad, did all of the like the MCAT and the Casper around like well not the Casper, sorry, the MCAT around like year three of my undergrad, and then just applied to follow that. I am kind of parroting a little bit of kind of Al's advice in regards to being undergrad, kind of get into medical school. I as well didn't have the greatest grades of all time, which certainly is something that is maybe a little bit of a hit to the morale. But it is important to know that it is not the end of it. It's definitely there's a lot of factors to consider when you are making your application, a lot of things that are considered um, by the people like that are um, getting like that are allowing people into medical school that are also just as valid. Um, similar idea of things kind of like the MCAT mark. I know there is I saw a lot of things like Reddit that would say that like you need at least a 520 or else there's no point of applying or things like that, which is it's just not true. I certainly did not have that. I know a number of my colleagues also did not have like a 524 or anything like that. There's a lot of factors, and I know it can be very hard to um it can be very hard to see kind of like those forum posts of people having these like stellar grades and like ridiculous hours of extracurriculars. Um, but there is a lot of things to consider and a lot of things to that buff out your application. So it's something just to keep in mind. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions throughout the duration of this talk, just let us know.
Awesome. Thank you both. And now we're going to move on and just chat briefly about some of our fee waiver and fee assistant programs that we have. So Kyle, are you able to chat about our Price of a Dream program first?
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone hasn't heard of it yet, the Price of a Dream program is a financial fee waiver program offered by the AFMS. I think it's Associate Faculty of Medical Schools in Canada. And the whole program is dedicated to essentially waiving the fee of your application and as well as your MMI, your multiple mini interview, should you be offered that in your application. The way it works is basically, if you go to our website for USask Med Admissions, there'll be an application to apply. There'll be a couple of questions in regards to your background as well as income and a couple of other things. And should you be approved, you'll be received a fee waiver code that you can submit along with your application. If you want to go to the next slide, Davis. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The program itself opens on July 15th. And you will be sent your offered approval codes around July 31st, just before the application startup time in August for your med application. Yeah, if there's the QR code at the bottom right will kind of send you to our website that gives you a little more information regarding the Price of the Dream program. And if there are any more questions regarding it that come up during this meeting, be happy to answer them.
Yeah, sorry, Kyle. I think I might have skipped a slide. I was just responding to some questions we had in the chat, but we have our dates listed here as well.
Yeah, okay, there it is.
Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No problem. Yeah, like just kind of I said before, it opens July 15th. The application is just right on our website, so it's just, I think it's about a page or two. It's not terribly long. It'd be a couple like very basic questions on kind of your history, and then yeah, but around just before you start applying for with your applications, you'll get your code. Important to note, you please don't submit your application prior to getting your code, because if you do submit your application without the code, it will not be refunded. I think that is everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just clarifying, it's open until July 15th, not opening on.
Oh, yes, my apologies.
So it closes on July 15th. So please
Yes,
apply
yes.
Price of the Dream before then.
Yeah, so typically it runs from middle May to mid-July every single year. And mainly the rationale is just so that you'll know if you were accepted through Price of a Dream or not before you apply to med school. So you'll have that fee waiver in hand, so you don't basically, apply and forget about it or something like that. So it's mainly just as a convenience to make sure that, you know if you've been accepted or not, and it kind of helps you plan for your application. I'll move on and chat briefly about a few other assistant programs that are out there. So similar to Price of a Dream, there's the MCAT fee waiver assistant program. This is a partial fee assistance program that is offered by AAMC and AFMC. So you can apply for this for the current testing year or for the current testing year or for future testing years. And you'll have some kind of partial coverage for the cost, and then also for, I believe, some of the MCAT test resources that are available. So if you are interested at all, scan the QR code on page. It can take you exactly directly to the AAMC's website, and you can kind of read up a little bit more about that. And the other piece that we have is our Pathway Support Award for Indigenous applicants. This is something that our college offers to Indigenous applicants while they're in their undergrad. So Indigenous students who have completed at least a year of university school or 24 credit units are able to apply for this program. They're able to receive up to $3,500 in scholarships, and this can be awarded annually. So it's a big support if you know that you're looking to apply to medical school. This is a way to kind of support you in that process. So all the details, again, can be found online. If you scan our QR code, there's all the kind of terms of reference that are applied to this, and also the application that you have to fill out. So I recommend going on there, checking that out. The application is open now, so you can apply as soon as you'd like, but the deadline to apply is November 1st, 2024. There is kind of a written component to this, and so it's best to kind of allow yourself some time, be thoughtful about your answers. And then also keep in mind that if you are applying, obviously this is a program for Indigenous students, so you will have to do the USask Truth Policies kind of verification process that they have for Indigenous students. So keep that in mind and make sure that you have kind of your proof ready as well, as that'll kind of make the whole process go a lot faster.